Hello, hello. This is Blues of Saturn Blues Gaming, and I I've been doing a lot of these political yap sessions for a hot minute. Talking a lot about racism and things like that. But I wanted to get this off my chest, and this is the guy. And so the nature of this conversation is about the guy to my left, Bernie Sanders. Now, let me cut to this chase right now. I would vote for this man. Period. Like, in terms of if he went up against Fanta 47, hands down, he would get my vote. But for the past few years, since 2016, when I voted for him in the primary and he lost, then I voted for Hillary and then Biden and Kamala. This guy has been around, caucusing with the Democrats, because he's not a Democrat, Like, don't let it fool you, like he caucuses with them, but he's not a Democrat. I've kind of noticed a lot of things about Bernie Sanders and a lot of the people that follow him that's kind of make me go, like, I'm not sure. And I think the biggest thing is how many of them. So we can all kind of say, like, yeah, they put the Democratic Party put the finger on Hillary to have her win, and we could say, yeah, he kind of, like, they dropped the ball on him, like they kind of screwed him over. At the same time, the youth at the time. And I guess you could say millennials, because Gen Z wasn't really a thing yet. But millennials at the time were not able to get out and vote for, Bernie. And despite what the, internet leftists and things like that, say, like, he doesn't have a lot of support. He says a lot of good things, but, like, outside of internet leftists, he doesn't have support. More specifically, there's always been something weird about him when it comes to, like, race shit. Like a lot of people don't wanna, they either downplay this fact or they just plain don't wanna admit the fact. But in America specifically, racism and classism are intertwined. They're one and the same. And there's even greater belief that racism is the biggest issue, closely, like, with classism closely behind. Because there's a lot to say about, like, the reason classism exists is because of chattel slavery. Like, the things they did to dehumanize the people that were kidnapped and sold to them was atrocious. And because of that, all of the family that, all of the, families that had slaves were able to have the generational wealth to create the classism in the first place. Without slavery, like, I'm sure there would have been classism eventually. I mean, even in mono ethnic countries, like, especially in, like, Southeast Asia, and East Asia and things like that, it still exists. Like, it's just the caste system, So it still exists, but America's unique because of, chattel slavery. Like, a lot of people point out that, like, there's a difference between, like, the Irish have indentured servitude, because they can eventually pay their way to freedom, right? Chattel slavery didn't have that. Like, up until shit got hot, their slaves could not buy themselves out of slavery like that. Irish people could, but that's the difference between chattel slavery and indentured servitude. Eventually, with the latter, you can pay to get yourself out. With the former, you couldn't. So racism is the reason classism, at least for America, let me, double down on that, is the reason that classism exists in America. Classism is the cause of racism. And Bernie Sanders has made it a point to kind of talk about classism like it's its own thing. Like he doesn't, like in a normal sense, in a normal place, like talking about, we work for the people. Like we don't play identity politics. In a normal place, that would be good. But in America, it's not good. Like it's not good because that's what everyone looks for. Like Bernie was on, and the reason for me bringing him up is because Bernie Sanders was on known bigot and, horrible person Andrew Schultz's podcast. Playing footsie with him, And, he's talking about how, Democrats are dangerous and things like that. Now, or he didn't refute. No, he said Democrats are dangerous. And Andrew Schultz was like, let me just set that up. And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Now, a lot of people don't understand this about politics and how race is so intertwined in it, is that when people say they don't like liberals, they don't like Democrats, they don't like that, like, I wish there was I brought this up a few times before, but there was a politician from a red state when they were talking about, getting rid of Medicare, Medicaid, and SNAP and things like that. He was like, we don't serve this, but the welfare queens do. Like, my people, which is a dog whistle for black people. And a lot of people, and dog whistles have been around to demonize, black people for decades. And I've also brought up, sometimes of the drain pool politics, which is when they started desegregating a lot of places. A lot of white people who were really pissed off about it did everything they could to either escape it or to fuck it all up. And one of the examples is the public pools. There used to be a lot of public pools, in segregated areas, but when they start to become desegregated, they filled them all up with cement. So that's the example. Like right now in America, we're in drain pool politics. Like that's what 47s and and MAGA are at right now. They're in drain pool politics. If we ourselves as white Americans, and like quotations, can't have this, no one has this. No one. No free healthcare, no benefits, nothing. No workers' rights, nothing. If we can't have it, no one can. No brown person, no black person, no one. So that's the rules that they're going by right now. It's drain pool politics, which is a racial politic. And Bernie, and everyone likes to uphold Bernie Sanders as, the champion for civil rights and things like that, and blah, blah, blah. They always like to tout, he walked, with, MLK during the civil rights movement. Well, guess what? There was a ton of people that, were doing right by black people in a time where we needed it. Jim Jones was one of those people. Like fucking, wasn't David Duke known, like ex-Grand Wizard of the Cookie Clan Club? Wasn't he like a lawyer for civil rights before he became super, super racist? Like people act like, things can't change. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying Bernie's racist or anything like that. I'm just saying he's really trying to focus on the class aspect of it without tackling the race aspect. And that's not gonna happen. It'll never happen because that is what America is. It was built on racism. It thrived on racism. And right now it's being dismantled because of racism. And the more he keeps trying to separate that, the more he'll never get anywhere. He has to acknowledge that to defeat classism, you have to defeat racism. And a lot of people will be like, no, that's not true. You guys need to do your homework. Like, you guys really need to do your homework on how deep this shit goes. And the point I was getting to by bringing up the Republican, I was like, take away from welfare queens, but keep white people still have it. Is a lot of people don't want to say it, but a lot of Republicans and a lot of MAGA conflate the Democratic Party with black people because black people always show out for the Democratic Party. They always show out for it. And a lot of leftists, sad to say, I might get in trouble for this, but I don't care. A lot of leftists and liberals can be racist. They absolutely can. Get Out was the prime example of how it could be. I would vote for Obama for a third term if I could. Like, Get Out is such a perfect film because that's, the racist that people on the left tend to be under. You know what I mean? That's kind of the racist that a lot of people on the left thrive by. Like MAGA, they're very outward known with their racism. People on the left that are racist, whether liberal or leftists, they're very insidious with it. Like, I'd rather be someplace that's in your face with it so I can just laugh at them than sitting in the shower like 2 days later after, a microaggression going, were they really being racist? Were they actually doing that? And a lot of these people, tend to go for Bernie Sanders. They tend to go for him. Like, a lot of Bernie will never get the support of black people in this country until he realizes that racism is the cause of classism, which is the cause of everything that's bad that's going on in America right now. And the more he doesn't, the less he's gonna win. And I also had a thought. Bernie Sanders, I feel like, hasn't done anything in politics at all. Like, he caucuses with the Dems, yeah, but what has he actually done? Like, has he put up any bills or anything? Like, when the Dems had one power? Like, low key, he's giving me Jill Stein vibes, and I hate to say that because Jill Stein is a huge ass grifter. And as much as I disagree with Bernie Sanders, there's a lot of good in that. Even though I personally feel like his I don't do identity politics while actively chasing after the white male demographic is identity politics. The white, the male, that's an identity. I mean, so it's a hypocrite, but at the end of the day, I'd vote for him over, anyone against Phantom 47 and anyone else. And that's if he wins anything. But he won't, because he won't get to the true center of the rot that America has. And now I'm thinking, everyone's kind of saying, the left needs, a 47. We need a 47 to do this. Voila. there he is. Because the cult that this man has is almost as like infectious as the cult that 47 has. If you want to get on a leftist bad side, all you gotta say something is bad against, against 47. And in hindsight, I'm realizing that by me going, yeah, I would vote for him over 47 any day, is the same thing that a lot of MAGA does when they go, oh, dear president, oh, magnificent, master of the orange. I voted for you 3 times, but I don't like this thing that you're doing. It's hurting me specifically. Like, it kind of gives that vibe to me now that I really reflect on that. I just want people to have an honest conversation about Bernie Sanders. And this isn't like a situation of like, oh, the left is always battling with one another. Because like I said, if he were to win something, anything, I would vote for him. And I have voted for him. But I realized years later that he has some funky stuff about identity politics. It isn't even just being black, where, my thing's like, why is he so, like, against doing anything with black people? He's also weirdly against women in a sense of, like, promoting them. Like, of course, LGBTQ shit, like, he also doesn't, because, again, he doesn't do identity politics. So he's not, in quotations, he's not doing identity politics. If you're not white and you're man, that's identity politics to Bernie Sanders. And what really kind of made me realize that maybe it's not all that hot with women either is the fact that when someone was questioning Bernie about AOC and about if she should take Schumer's place, which she should, he got like really like, and then ended the interview like immediately after. And it was just a weird thing because he could have just said, like, there's so many like times when a politician, when someone asks a politician something weird and they're able to like, cha-cha slide away from that question. He was just like, wait, the meeting is over. Like someone saying my ding-a-ling. like he was Principal Skinner. When that kid's saying my ding-a-ling in The Simpsons, this act is over. That was literally him. He's like, he literally just like knocked over the soda can and ran out. And that's just weird, Like Bernie Sanders is a weird person. And like, it's really telling that when he got knocked off in 2016, that a lot of the, Bernie bros became MAGA. I don't know what it is about these old white men that get all the youngins, sprung, but holy shit, there needs to be a conversation to be had about Bernie Sanders. And honestly, about the Democratic Party as a whole, because Gavin Newsom's playing footsies with Charlie Kirk. Gretchen Whitmer, even though I know, we all know why she did it, was still playing like, oh, great, benevolent, magnificent 47. Like, something needs to be done. Like, I'm sick of Nancy Pelosi, I'm sick of, Chuck Schumer, but I don't like David Hogg, and I don't like, Bernie Sanders for the exact same reason. Like, we need to rally around somebody quick. Like the left and the liberals. Because like I said, I've always said I'm somewhere in the middle of those two. Because a lot of stuff Bernie says is like, it appeals to me. Something about him and the way he acts. Oh, also remember that a lot of like his staffers at the time, like during 2016, he absolutely, like when they were like, oh no, you gotta talk to like at black events too, you gotta get your voice out there with them. And there were stories of him just absolutely refusing. Like he was just absolutely set on thinking that the college age students would bail him out. and at the time they did not. And now that I think about it, why did he try to like have this when Hillary ran and then Kamala ran? That's weird. Bernie Sanders, you're weird. You're weird. But like I said, I'm sure this will get a target on my back because everybody loves him some Bernie, and I don't get why. But I'm just being honest. Like, there needs to be some serious conversations to be had about him. Like, and take the cultness out of it. Because if there's one thing leftists and liberals both do, is they can't that is different from MAGA, is that they can have I feel like they can have an honest conversation about politicians. You know what I mean? So I think that's the best way. I think that's going to be the best way I can end this. We need to have a conversation about him because eventually, wait a minute, now that I think about it, didn't this idiot uplift Tulsi Gabbard, who's now on MAGA side? I just remembered that. Yeah, he uplifted that dumb idiot, and she immediately turned around and became MAGA, like very recently, like last year. And that brings up, I'm not even gonna question that because AOC, I feel like where Bernie fucks up in a lot of ways, AOC makes up for his fuck-ups. But I wonder if AOC will stay in his shadow or if she'll branch out on her own. Because I feel like while Bernie has no appeal to anyone, I feel like AOC does have appeal. Like she's able to get on, Call Me Daddy podcast, get on Twitch, and fucking have a ball. And able to sit down with not just, white people in, Whitesville, USA, but also get down, down with black people and listen to their voices too. And create the true equality that Bernie tries to do with the working class. Not the black people working class, because apparently black people don't have a working class, but the true equality, I feel like AOC can do. But that's only if she gets out of his shadow. And I don't know his deal at this point. Who the fuck is he? Because I don't know. What the fuck is he? But yeah, I'm sure this is gonna get a thing on my back. I don't really give a fuck. In fact, I'll make the thumbnail of this me with a target on my back for speaking out against the mighty Bernie, coalition. But I just need us to really talk about him and to really, because for us on the left, we're watching, and especially me as a black person, as a pansexual person, and as a disabled person, there are a lot of targets on people on my back and a lot of people's backs from, this idiotic regime that we're in under Phantom 47. And we need to find someone to rally behind quick. And looking at Bernie Sanders, he's not going to be the one again. And I'll be damned if we wrap around Gavin Newsom, because fuck that guy. Actually, fuck, AOC, I will rally behind. J.B. Pritzker, who's Illinois governor, dude, it feels legit. I would go around that guy. Oh, a Pritzker AOC ticket would fucking sell buku numbers. Because you're hitting all the right demographics. For JB, of course, white man, kind of old, kind of big and hefty, a billionaire, so all the weird rich people are morally superior type folks can get behind him. But he's the only one to say that we shouldn't toss black minorities in the LGBTQ community. We should, he's the only one to say we shouldn't toss them out of the trash, like a big politician, outside of like Tim Walz, AOC, Jasmine Crockett. Meanwhile, Bernie doesn't play with identity politics unless you're a white man. Gavin Newsom completely tossed everybody under the bus. Gretchen, again, we know why she did it, bowed down to the magnificent 47 and his regime. And there's so many other, Democrats that are not done. Oh, Chuck Schumer being a fucking waste of life. Nancy Pelosi, waste of life. So there's not a lot of people the voters can wrap around of. But I do feel that it has to be AOC. It has to be Tim Walz. It has to be JB Pritzker. And I'm trying to think. Jasmine Crockett, I feel like she could do it, but after what happened with Kamala, we need somebody different. And I feel like Bernie, if he gets put up there, especially after his Andrew Schultz interview, he's not going to win. He is not going to win. I'd vote for him if he became it, but he's not going to win because he does not have the support of Black people, because he refuses to acknowledge them in any way. That's just the cut of it. Anyway, this has been Blues with Saturn Blues Gaming. Hopefully this is the last little like politic thing that I do for a while, because honestly, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. But yeah, this has been me. Thank you guys so much for listening to me yap about Bernie Sanders and a lot of stuff. And you guys take care. I don't know how to end this. Bye. Okay, bye.